Welcome to Mission Critical, the Harting America's content series that offers engineers the details they need to make informed decisions and inspired solutions. Today, we're going to talk about getting bigger productivity out of smaller spaces for semiconductor equipment. Let's begin.
Semiconductor manufacturing equipment is already so complex. The demand for these silicone wafers is ever increasing. As we all know, we're surrounded more and more by intelligent devices. You can't go really anywhere without having some sort of semiconductor chip within a device within 2 feet of you. So the requirements are increasing. You want more reliable equipment and increasing the yield within a similar form factor. It's a big topic, right, to increase the yield. And how do you do that? Well, you make the processes more controlled. You try to mitigate any flaws that can occur. And really the way you do that is by adding more intelligence to the equipment. So adding more sensors such as temperature, pressure, various other control devices, vision systems, and add all those to help really ensure that the process is running smoothly. And whether it's having better predictive maintenance or ultimately being able to diagnose a problem much faster, you just really want to improve the output of this equipment and these wafers. The addition of all of these sensors and controls and all of those additional devices, it's not simply just adding them to the machine. There's a whole infrastructure behind them, and you're working with limited space. The space at these fabs is limited and very costly, and so you're really trying to maintain the size or reduce the size of this equipment, but as you're adding more equipment, more sensing devices, you're not only adding those devices, but also adding all the cabling and all the infrastructure. Engineers love challenges, and the semiconductor industry and this equipment really provides a lot of challenges in machine design. For us at HARTING, we love a challenge as well, and we really love working with engineers to help solve those problems. Again, whether it's reducing the size of our connector as small as possible or creating hybrid connections to better make use of space on a panel. We love doing that. We love a challenge, and that's what makes the industry so interesting. Challenges, sometimes they can be solved with products that are readily available that we've solved problems for in the past with. But sometimes that's just not the case, and that's why we have a full product development team as well as some R&D engineers that are, again, those types of engineers that love a challenge and love to create something new, really push the boundaries of what a connector and cable can do and how they can really provide value to the engineers that we're working with. There's a lot of elements when it comes to designing the connectivity and the cabling in the system. And so there's a lot of questions, probably more than you would think, that you really need to think of and need to ask. Certainly, what are you connecting? Is it the power, the signal, or the data? What kind of space constraints are you working with? Are there any specific standards that you need to meet? And again, sometimes it might be something that we have available, but sometimes we may need to do some engineering work to get that perfect fit of a solution. Modular connectors, you can actually think about it in your everyday lives. As an example, back in the day, all of the TVs had RCA wires and cables connecting to the TV. Nowadays we use HDMI cables, right? You're reducing those 3 cables into a single interface that's quite small and compact. And it's really a similar topic when it comes to industrial connectors and the value that they can bring to the industrial industry in these mission critical applications. We've had a scenario in the past where we worked on a piece of equipment that had 10 different signal cables, a couple of power cables, and they were all separated out. And it was a little bit of a supply chain nightmare. So you had different vendors with different connectors, and we were able to really combine all of those in a single interface. There's a lot of products that HARTING offers within generally the machinery industry, but also specifically for the semiconductor equipment industry. Our rectangular connector line, the Han line, and specifically the Han Modular line are the perfect products to help solve some of the issues that arise when designing these systems. Our modular connectors are built in a way that almost like Lego blocks, you're able to pick and choose what electrical components are needed within your connector in a modular way and really design it on the fly. So you're able to essentially create a custom connector with off-the-shelf parts. And there's a lot of flexibility in the shells. You can have plastic, you have metal, you can have stainless steel. So whatever really is needed for that application, it can be tailored perfectly for what's needed. In my hand here, I have an example of one of our modular connectors. It's our Han Modular and our Han Eco plastic hood and housing. And you can see there's 3 different smaller components here that represent, let's say, 3 different cables. You have some pneumatic lines, you have a power line, and you have a signal line. So imagine for a moment all of these having to take up their own independent spaces on the panel where you need some tolerance in between each to disconnect, as opposed to this single connector piece that really quickly connects together and latches together in really seconds, as opposed to, again, having to connect those individually on a panel. To the discussion of miniaturization, within the Han Modular portfolio, we have the ability not only to create these custom connectors with off-the-shelf parts and not only to improve the density, but also within the modules themselves, we have half modules, which we call domino pieces, to really be able to optimize the space even better. When you think HARTING, the first thing you should be thinking is that we're the go-to resource for connectivity. So not only with some of these larger rectangular connectors can we solve problems, but even from the board level side, from small connectors, Ethernet connectors, all the way to these larger power solutions. At HARTING, we have a fantastic field application engineering team that can help put together all the pieces of these connectors and these bills of materials. But we know that sometimes, you're a do-it-yourselfer and your engineering mind wants to be creative and create those solutions yourself. And so we have some great digital tools like our Han digital configurator to help create these 3D renderings and support in terms of putting together the materials on our website. Any resources that you need in terms of tools, finding similar products, those are all available on our website. Drawings, 3D models, all of that right at your fingertips.
For more details on how HARTING Americas is helping the semiconductor industry make a bigger impact in smaller spaces, contact us today.